لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. We continue in this tremendous treatise of Usul al-Thalatha by the great Imam al-Mujaddid rahimahullah rahmatu wasi'ah, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, the great reviser of not only just the Sunnah during his time, but also the reviver of Islam properly in all the societies that were in a state of turmoil of every type you could think of. And the worst type of turmoil, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, is the turmoil of polytheism running rampant in society. Do not be fooled by people who try to put on a picture or paint a picture that they say, for example, that what's going on in a certain country of murder and killing, that's the true fitna. That's fitna. Or certain people, they'll say, for example, a person or a school closing down is fitna. Rather, it is a kalimat al-haq. It's a statement of truth, but is intended by a falsehood, of course, as we know. It's a statement of truth, but what is intended by a falsehood. Because no doubt, a school closing down, that with children are being educated and being nurtured and being cultivated, no doubt, if they're receiving a true cultivation. It depends on what they're being taught. That's number one. Whether they're being taught the proper information or the proper education. That's number one. So that needs to be looked at and examined. But no doubt, if they're being taught properly and the knowledge of what they're learning is disseminated with a correct understanding, no doubt that is a type of fitna. Or people being killed and murdered in a certain country, bloodshed, and people are shedding blood and having pillage, and they're having a mass hysteria in their land, running rampant, no doubt, that's fitna, no doubt. But what is the greatest of all fitna? The greatest of all fitna, as Allah Ta'ala even himself describes in his book, and we'll bring the ayah inshallah, the greatest of all fitna is shirk. The greatest of all fitna is what, everyone? Based upon what I've taught everyone for years, is what? Polytheism. Ahsantum. So the basic Muslim knows that even though there might be killing in a certain land, in a certain place, the fact that they are still having ideologies of disbelief and ideologies that actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala detests and hates, that is the greatest of all fitna. And the reason why the murder is going on in Syria is because they left off the correct aqidah. And what came as a result of it was what, everyone? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's turmoil and his humiliation, disgrace came upon the Muslims because of people like you. And I'm speaking generally because he likes to speak generally, and he knows who I'm speaking about. People like you come in a country and try to cater to the people's emotions, and then do not want to talk about the affairs that will truly rectify them, which continues the humiliation, disgrace amongst the Muslims. Because you think that that's a fitna, but the fact that you're not teaching the people aqeedah and tawheed, that's not a greater fitna? For those who truly want good for an individual or a people, I don't care who it is, people who will truly want good for you are going to teach you properly. People who love you truly, not coming with just a smiling face and coming with soft speech and catering to your emotions and making you feel happy and come with the feel-good, happy dawah, and generally using statements of the scholars in order to justify your hawa, in order to justify your desires. The fact that you're not teaching the people properly, that shows you don't truly care about them. And the proof is in your actions and in your teachings. For verily we have this book right in front of us, which is the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, who you have yet to finish his books and teach from them and disseminate from them here in America. I'm not talking about Saudi Arabia, which you did on Ramadan temporarily, just to shut up people's mouths right quick. But when you come here in America, you deviate from that. What's the reason? Why can't you teach the people monotheism? I don't care where I am. If a person tells me right now, AbdurRazzaaq, you can't teach Tawheed, I'm not going to be there around those people. You can't teach the Dawah of the Prophets. Those books are prohibited in our masjid. You can't teach that here. You can't teach Tawheed here. Even if I try to leave off the name, Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, and just teach the people Tawheed. No. Those type of principles, we don't allow that here. That shows that that's a problem with those people. And that those people who you are around, likewise, are upon something incorrect, which you need to clarify. Because the new type of dawah here that's coming around everyone is the dawah of so-called, there's no such thing as Ahl-Bid'ah anymore. And that has a direct correlation to what we're speaking about now, of wala wal bara. What we've been teaching for the past 2 months, except it was what? Except that we've been trying to educate the people in this qa'idah, or this principle of al-wala wal bara. And what you will find that some of Ahl Ilm count it from the conditions of La ilaha illallah. They'll say that is the other condition is wala wal bara. As Al-Hafiz says in his poetry. He said, وَفِي الشَّهَادَةِ عِلْمُ الْقَلْبِ مُشْتَرَطٌ يَقِينُهُ قَدْ قَبُولٌ لَيْسَ يُفْتَقَدُ إِخْلَاصُكَ الصِّدْقُ فِيهَا مَعَ مَحَبَّتِهَا كَذَا الْوَلَاء وَالْبَرَاء فِيهَا لَهَا عَمَدُ فِيهِ تُوَالِئُ لِلتَّقْوَى وَتَنْصُرُهُمْ وَكُلُّ أَعْدَائِهِ إِنَّ لَهُمْ لَعَدُوٌّ. You said that you'll find that the al-wala wal-bara is the amad. It is the actual pillar in which all those conditions stand upon. It's the pillar of wala wal-bara. The new type of da'wah that's coming here to America, or rather it's here now, because a lot of people are being beguiled and misled by it, is that there is no wala wal-bara is only restricted for the people of kufr. That's it. That's the new type of wave of da'wah that's coming in. That's here. That wala wal-bara that you only show disloyalty to the non-Muslims or what have you. Then this, and as far as loyalty, that's for the people of Iman. Or you show your loyalty, or you show your closeness, so that they are from your aiders and protectors. The awliya are from the people of Iman, that's it. But as for the actual wala wal-bara for the people of innovation, or the people of deviation, or the people of, for example, falsehood, or the people that are not upon what is the correct methodology, correct belief system, then there is no wala wal-bara. Even though they're not saying it with their tongues, but that's what they're practicing. For example, they say you could go to a Sufi masjid, learn from them, learn from their classes, learn from their so-called people, learn from them. Well, so now, all these affairs that I want everyone to be very attentive of. This was not the da'wah of number one of the, I would say, if not the greatest da'i that we had here in America, who I'm pleased to say his name in every lecture, Abu Uwais, rahimahullah. Probably one of the most greatest that we've had, especially during that time, in the 80s and the 90s. Abu Uwais, rahimahullah. And Abu Uwais came with this da'wah similar of wala wal bara, not only for the people of who, everyone? Of people of Iman and Kufr, having allegiance and showing your loyalty and your allegiance to the people of Iman. He also came with the wala wal bara, with the allegiance to the people of the truth, and the disallegiance, or the disavowalment, or separation. For the people of falsehood, was only for the people of kufr. You never found that in his da'wah, and that was it. It was restricted to that category. When he came with his da'wah, what was his call? His call was also likewise to what? That there were Muslims who were upon deviation out there. Am I right or wrong, everyone? If you listen to a lot of his teachers, and this is where a lot of us deviate, as far as in affairs of how we so-called quickly forget of the correct call, in which you'll find that Abu Uwais rahimahullah, what he had called to, likewise was a similar call to what we're trying to propagate likewise. That there are deviant Muslims out there that you have to be aware of, and likewise you have to what? Show yourself being distinct from them likewise. And being distinct from their call. And you standing out, being from the people of the truth and trying to aid the people of the truth and show your loyalty and show your closeness and show your aid and your protection and all to them. Standing and make yourself what? Having that tamayuz and having that tamyiz and that distinction in your da'wah. Clarification and clarity. That was his call. And to all those people that was making war with Abu Uwais while he was, because I think some people don't know the history of what took place in the 90s. Some people do, alhamdulillah, some people don't. Abu Usama and Abu Musama, who now, all those people, Ali Davis, Muhammad Munir, all those people who just recently was on a platform with 6 months ago, who Abu Usama came in, he was on the stage. You can also go on YouTube, click their names in, and they were all together, given a type of dawah, and they were disseminating some knowledge all together. And I say to these people, what happened to does everyone remember the war that Abu Usama used to make with Abu Uwais and Abu Musama? And these people who are on the stage, have we forgot? That man who suffered for years of trying to propagate clarity to the people. Then you have a group of people who now come in the form of so-called Salafiyya, take that, throw his dawah in the garbage. Oh, Abu Uwais was wrong. So Abu Usama, now we're on the same platform with him. Do we remember the refutation that Abu Uwais made on Abu Usama? It's right on YouTube. All you got to do is type it. It's right there. An hour-long refutation against Abu Usama. An hour-long refutation. So now, and I'm asking everyone, for anyone who has true understanding, if Abu Uwais was alive right now, and he's seen these same people, so-called claim Salafiyya, on the same stage in the platform while Abu Usama, what do you think Abu Uwais would say? You guys lost your minds? You've lost your mind. Knowing all the lies and the deception that this man has made, all that's forgiven and forgotten about, all the deviation that this man has propagated in communities he's destroyed, he gets a new clean slate. Why? Because Sheikh Rabi' criticized him? Sheikh Rabi' criticized him. That's the reason why he gets a new slate. He's a clean slate. Sheikh Rabi' criticized you, you get a clean slate now. That's the new dawah. That's the new call now. Sheikh Rabi' criticized you. No, Sheikh Rabi' didn't criticize you from his own nafs. He criticized you from Kitab and Sunnah and Dalil. And he proved it to be right. It's not our fault that Allah Ta'ala has given a man tawfiq. He's given a man tawfiq. He brings criticism with Kitab and Sunnah. And alhamdulillah, the position that he takes agrees with Kitab and Sunnah. So in actuality, we found Kitab and Sunnah. And if Allah just gave him insight to be correct in a lot of his affairs, who's to blame? So now when you were so-called saying, y'all want to blind follow him, we blind follow him, bring him one example of how we blind follow him, and anyone he's criticized. Because if you look at the refutations, because that's the new trend now, everybody just go by trends on social media. That's it. Nobody actually reads in these affairs and looks and tries to understand what's the actual thing where they want to stray at, and see how he compares it to Kitab and Sunnah, brings an ayah, hadith, minhaj al-salafi of what Bukhari were upon, Yahya Ma'in were upon, and how these people are opposing that. So now, the only thing we don't read. What we do is we follow our trends, the trends on YouTube, on social media, and what our feelings tell us, what our feelings say, what our emotions say. I just feel like you guys are just bullying him. I just feel like Sheikh Rabi', I feel that you just are blind following him. And I always ask people, give me one example where we have blind followed Sheikh Rabi' and one who he has criticized. Give me one example. I always ask them that. Now when they bring the individual, let's bring the refutation when he criticized them. All you find, Kitab, Sunnah, Ayat, Ahadith, Minhaj al-Salafi, bang, bang, bang. That's it. No more, no less. Because in actuality, that's what we're following. And it just so happened that Allah gave him insight and tawfiq to have this correct position based upon the evidence and proofs. Who are we now to come behind and say we're blind following? That's not blind following. That's actually what? We're following Kitab and Sunnah, which is a type of what? Taqleed. A lot of people don't know taqleed. You have to be very, very careful of these words that people bring now these days at times. Number one is taqleed. Taqleed, you'll find, ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, is from the fitna of the people of falsehood of the past. From them was Abu al-Hasan al-Ma'ribi. He always used to wave this word, taqleed, taqleed, taqleed. You blind follow, you blind follow, you blind follow Sheikh Rabi'. And from the criticism, and all the other people falsehood from the past, from them was Ali Halabi, the same dawah. You guys make taqleed, Sheikh Rabi', taqleed. What's the difference now of here, what's going on here in America with all these other people, Ali David, Muhammad Tahir Wai, who also hate Sheikh Rabi', and they, even though they smile in your face, say, no, we love Sheikh Rabi'. But when you hear the general statements, it's attack. Such as, oh, these scholars don't miss their coffee and dates, and they want to worry about what's going on in the hood with crack babies. And I say to these people, you do? You truly care about the crack babies in the hood when you're not even teaching the people monotheism and tawheed? You don't care about them either. The only people that truly care about the crack babies in the hood and what's going on in our society here is the people who's propagating the correct Islam, the correct call. By calling these people to monotheism and calling them to clarity. That's the only thing that's going to wreck any human being in the dunya. No more, no less. I don't care if you're in the hood. I don't care if you're in Pakistan. I don't care if you're in Antarctica. I don't care if you're in the North Pole. The only thing is going to rectify a human being is what Muhammad came with, which is the first call, what he did for 13 years straight, which was what? Calling the people to monotheism, and what you guys are not doing now. So you truly don't want good for the society or the crack babies either. Which is just a bunch of propaganda and nonsense so you can milk the people's pockets while you spit on them by not what? Teaching them properly. That's why that's the correct dawah. But now you want to so-called say that what we're doing now is so-called creating fitna. No, what you want to do is you want us to water it down. Don't teach the people monotheism because you know that the correct callers who are calling the correct call, it's bothering you. That's the reason why you got to keep attacking us. But you do it in a general manner. And you know that the main person who has criticized these people, who you're bringing in now, Sheikh Rabi' criticized them. So we ain't going to say Sheikh Rabi''s name because you know once you say his name, you're finished. So now we're going to make a general attack. So we'll say, for example, yeah, you got to realize, there's a certain group of people. See, they like to generalize a lot. Generalize. There's a people, there is certain scholars we have to realize in our people, in our society, but you can't blind follow the scholars. That's the general speech. Then you have the people in the crowd that's listening. Now, son, number one is, who are we blind following? Because they're not bold enough to say it. Don't generalize. Be bold, be brave. Who? Number one. See, the only one who's bold enough to say it was Shadid Muhammad. He was the boldest one to say it. He's the boldest one. And that's the reason why he's finished likewise. Because he made his misguidance clear. He's bold enough to say, Sheikh Rabi', yeah, I say his name, yeah, You fell into it. You fell into the trap, so now you know your misguidance is clear to us now. But we already knew that's what you were hiding in your chest. We already knew it. With those guys now, it's another thing. They're going to keep it general. Y'all not bold enough to say it, though. So now what I'm saying is, if we're making taqleed, who are we making taqleed of, number one? Number two, who Sheikh Rabi' criticized are we making taqleed of? Name one person. They won't name it. From them is Abu Usama. This man who even Abu Uwais, who made war with him during his time in the 90s and the early 2000s. War with Abu Uwais, outright war. And how quickly we forget. Now 2018, these people now are on the same platform with this man. As soon as I see Abu Usama with these other people around, and I'm saying, I'm turning this off. Y'all remember what that man did to Abu Uwais? And the fitna he put that man through? You forget? How quickly our communities are forgetting. All you have to do now, and I'll tell everyone, y'all want to stop in the middle of class, let's do this right now. Go on YouTube on your phone, type in Abu Usama Dhahabi Abu Uwais, see what pops up. Just go in it right now. Stop the lesson. You could go on your smartphone, type it in, put it in. I won't say nothing. You look on it. It'll come right up on your phone. Go look on it right now. I want everyone to pop up on it. Look on it. Put Abu Usama Dhahabi, or Abu Usama Abu Uwais. What's the first thing that pop on your phone? I want everybody to answer me. I didn't even type anything in for anyone. Look on it. What popped up? Abu Usama, and then put Abu Uwais right beside it. Refutation. I sent. I ain't even have to tell you anything. Goldie. What did it say? Refutation what? Mumtaz. Excellent. First thing that pop up. I don't have to tell anyone nothing. So now, brothers and sisters, when you go now, you see, type in, for example, now Abu Usama, Muhammad Munir, Ali Davis, what will pop up? How long is his refutation against it? Hour and 15 minutes. An hour and 15 minutes. And a lot of people don't know that all these people now, and this is a refutation against Abu Usama. So now all these people that give a dawah Abu Usama right now on the same platform, if Abu Uwais was alive right now, what would you think he would say to them? Ali Davis, Muhammad Munir, all these other people that's on the same platform, Shadid, all these other people. He's going to say, you guys lost your minds. You bumped your head. The only one that's inconspicuous that won't come out with it is Mr. Wyatt, who I've always said that he's the one that's the puppeteer behind the curtains. Because he's been like that since the years, always making war with the Salafis and finding every excuse in the dunya for the people falsehood. That's just been his dawah from day one. And everyone knows it, he knows it, and he knows it bothers him. And that the clarity and the distinction that the people are coming with, it bothers them. That's why you had to come and make a lecture called now 3 parts about some fitna, stop the fitna. No, what he means by stop the fitna is stop the clarification, stop the purification, stop the call to tawheed, stop the call to minhaj as-salafi with it being clear. Stop it, because it's bothering my dawah, it's bothering the people, because the people falsehood is bothering them. We don't like that. We want you guys to remain quiet. Shut up. We don't like the distinction. We don't like the clarification. We don't want the people, the truth, to be distinct. We want them to be mixed up. We don't want that word bid'ah. There's no people of bid'ah here. Take that, throw it in the garbage. So everything that all these du'at have worked so diligent for, especially that virtuous individual, Abu Uwais, who has this as if to this day he's still alive by his da'wah and by the truth and his propagation. You could tell everyone, I think, can testify that da'wah and the blessed da'wah is still alive to this day, even though that man's dead, rahimahullah. How many people do we hear every time? Even a new shahada, I'm surprised sometimes I heard a new shahada coming down the street, listen to Abu Uwais. And I'm like, whoa, what do we know about Abu Uwais? He took shahada last week. And want to really listen to him. Barakah. Barakah of the da'wah. How many of these people now have come? Abu Usama, Abu Muslim. Are you still alive as if you're dead? People of the Sunnah who upon clarity and distinction left you off. And those who are around him, you are following in the same footsteps. It's as if you're dead even though you're alive. No barakah in your da'wah. I don't care how much of a smiling face and soft speech you come with. And a very, very, very cunning, coming with some type of da'wah in order to milk people. And the reason why I'm upset is because I get mad to see people being misled and being milked for their money in compensation for misguidance. That's the worst humiliation. And then would it really cater and really want to cater now, so-called want to cater to saying in the name of we're trying to help them aid the black people and aid their ghettos and aid their hoods, and you're not even teaching them properly. Trying as if you're the one that really cares. I really care about your what's going on in your household with the drunk father and your crack babies. I care. If you cared, you would be doing what we're doing was teaching this book, Usul al-Thalatha. That's if you truly care and love people. This is what you would be teaching. Those are the people who truly care and love the people. As for those who just come with some so-called deceptive speech, generally talking, to cater towards the emotions of the people while they're milking you at the same time for your money, those are the things that make me upset. It's like you truly don't care about the people. You just cater to their emotions. So when they hear you say, yeah, the ulama don't care about the crack babies and the alcohol and the broken down houses of the families and all the women that's whores and the men that's taking advantage of our people and taking advantage of our women to the end of it. And the people's like, not realizing that this man is likewise, it's just as worse. Why? Because it's easy, like I just said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa. All you have to do is look to the call of the individual. If he truly loves you and he truly wants good for you and what's good for your community, your society, he starts with what Muhammad started with in his dawah, 13 years straight. Correcting the people's aqidah, correcting the people's monotheism, warning them from shirk, and warning them from bid'ah. And I don't know where they're getting this call is that there's no people of innovations these days. I don't know where they're getting that from. They're talking about we interpreted that wrong. Where they get mad at us because we go to non-Salafi masajid. So they get mad at us. We're not getting mad at you, akhi. We're asking you, what's your dalil to justify what you're doing? Which is going to masajid that clearly hate Salafiyah. Don't want the books of Tawheed and Aqeed and Minhaj taught. Their only focus is on so-called, we need to focus on politics, be involved in politics. We need to involve so-called raise the black man, raise his morale, and take him off the oppression. Yeah, actually, the only thing that's going to change the black man is monotheism, what Muhammad came with. No more, no less. All these other different types of so-called rectifications that you think that you're coming with is not going to rectify anyone. And what's the biggest fitna when you're calling the people to so-called, we need to have education with our children? Yes, we do. That is a statement of truth. What's intended by it, falsehood again. Yes, we do need to form schools for our children and educate them properly, which is to start with what? What are we going to educate them with? Democratic politics? What you going to fill their mind up with, a bunch of filth? Until ultimately if they die in that state, they go to the hellfire forever. Did you truly give them success? It's better for them now to be ignorant of the dunya, of the little affairs of the dunya, and that you taught them monotheism, and taught them tawheed, and taught them aqidah, minhaj salafi, and they implemented that in their lives, and they died upon that. It's better for them than now that you so-called made them rich or made them so-called prominent in society where they have a lot of money into the end of it, and they die in that state. Ultimately, you did not educate them properly. If they're going to be in hell forever, so what's the true benefit? What's the true victory? The true victory, what is it? I'm asking. Somebody be in hell forever? Died in some state of polytheism? Died in the state of kufr? Having some type of ideologies where the first thing Allah is going to check is going to our belief system. On the first thing when you come on the day of resurrection, this is what we're teaching right now, Surah Thalatha, which rectifies your belief system in preparation for death. Why does Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab, why did he focus on this book? Why? Because he knew that this is the first thing that's going to be addressed in the grave. It's the first thing that's going to be addressed on the day of resurrection. Before Allah checks your deeds, He's going to check to see if your belief system is intact first. Were you upon kufr? Were you upon shirk? Because if you're upon kufr and shirk, you have no chance. All the other deeds that you did from Hajj, Siyam, you could have been the best, most upright, most great etiquette, and most profound, exemplary character in the dunya. You could have had the best smile that everyone loves. If you're upon monotheism and kufr, you die in that state. And Allah Ta'ala, on the day of resurrection, checks that, and that's on your scale. You had your smiling nice face and your good character goes down the drain. At any rate, is everybody ready now? As far as in wala wal bara, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, I want to highly emphasize that wala wal bara, check that refutation of Abu Usama Dhahabi. Listen to it. Listen to the deception that Abu Usama comes with. The deception. And you see the same type of pattern is with these people of today. We'll find that Abu Uwais criticized him point by point. And you can see the deception that in the generalized statements that Abu Usama comes with in order to deceive the people. And it's the same type of methodology that's used today with those who are around him. Same thing. And wala wal bara, brothers and sisters, are not just for the people of Iman and Kufr. Wala wal bara is also for the people of the Sunnah. and the people of Tawheed, the people of Salafiyah. Your loyalty and your connection, and you taking them as protectors and those who are close, and aiders and protectors and awliya, they are for the people of the Sunnah, and the people of Tawheed, and the people of Athar, and those who love the Sunnah, and those who love the prophetic, authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And on the opposite side of that, likewise, brothers and sisters, also likewise, showing your disloyalty and your separation from the people of Bid'ah. And that's the new wave that's here now. They're trying to now take that principle that we're talking and discussing now and do away with that. That don't exist. That's the new dawah here. That wala par wala wal bara, that don't exist. There's no people innovations here. That's not here. They're not here. All of them are so-called ignorant. What's so strange is that some of those people that went there, and when they seen the reality of how they opposed the Sunnah, when you tell them the Prophet ﷺ said this, the Prophet ﷺ did this, or we need to have the Eid during the sighting of the moon. Yeah, akhi, that all sounds good, but you got to realize what the black man has went through. No doubt, akhi, that's a statement of truth. But now, what is the solution to the problem? That's why I always tell people, what's the solution? Because obviously, whatever that was so-called utilized to rectify the black man's society, it's not working. Because a lot of our brothers who are incarcerated, and a lot of our brothers who are dead, and a lot of our families that are still broke, and a lot of our fathers who we still don't know, who a lot of us don't even know who our fathers are, who our mothers had one-night stands with, and we just born and we're like, Mom, your mother telling you that you was just a one-night stand. I don't know who your father. I mean, really, what did these so-called callings do to the black man? I'm asking. What did they do? For all this now, there's also the so-called abuse of women, and now the domestic abuse, to the alcohol, to the crack, to the cocaine, to the all. You tell me what these calls have done. Because the proof is in the pudding if you go inside all the hoods, how they destroyed. To all of our, how are you see all of our, and your name, our people are still being incarcerated. Black man, stay out of jail. Black man, please don't go to jail. Don't commit no crimes. Yeah, you're telling them that, but he doesn't know how. You're not teaching him to develop him the mindset to know how to avoid it. You're just saying it to him. And then they send you to church on Sunday to give you some motivational speech to make you feel good. And that's all church does. It's just motivational speech. But they're not teaching you how to live. They're not giving you the details because they don't have it. It's only in Kitab and Sunnah. That's it. The Prophet ﷺ, if you look and study the ilm, the Prophet ﷺ gives you instructions of what to say when you wake up out of your sleep, how to the point you even to go to the bathroom. Can teach churches teach you that? Have they ever taught you to make a stingy when you go to the bathroom? No, the only person that taught that was Muhammad ﷺ. It's Sunnah. That's it. Because it teaches you detail how to live, in and out. From the time you leave out your house to the time you get in your car, there's a dua. To the point where you put your clothes on. In and out details of how to live life. None of these other calls can teach you that. None of them. That's the reason why I can't rectify anything. It just makes you feel good temporarily, give you motivational speech. Yeah, temporarily make you feel good on Sunday. Or you get to listen to Farrakhan, yeah, preach, brother, minister, and all this other nonsense was of giving you so-called inspirational, motivational speech temporarily, but he's still not teaching you how to live. So truly, what have these calls done for the black man's society? Nothing. Because our people are still being killed in the street, and they still being incarcerated. And our families are still messed up. And our children are still messed up. Let you know all these calls is nonsense and it's batil. The only thing that's going to rectify is what we're doing right now. No more, no less. And until these callers and these people get that through their thick heads, Allah Ta'ala is still going to put humiliation on our people. to let the people know clearly, if you don't do how Allah has commanded, His messenger has sent it down, your dawah is going down the drain. Make you fall right on your face until you start learning that the only thing that's going to rectify society is what we're doing right now. And if we do it with ikhlas and sincerity. And stop teaching after dunya, trying to milk people with a so-called deviated call. All this nonsense. This is what Abu Uwais was. This is what he sacrificed his life with this type of call. And you see that Allah put barakah in that man's dawah. It's clear as the sun in the sky. I don't know no woman and man, anyone listening online that don't disagree with me. That you can see in the call of Abu Uwais' dawah is barakah. To this day. Everyone listens to his lectures as if that man is still alive. All that sacrifice that man did, you guys are throwing it down the drain by listening to these idiots that come with that deviated call here. Deviated call where Ali Davis and all them other people are milking you with so-called dumb dawah. There is no people of bid'ah. Where you get that call from? I want to take us back in the past when we used to go to the Sufi masajid. Listen to a bunch of Sufis. Sufis came in this masjid about 2 weeks ago, and I gave them a word they never thought they were forgetting their lives when they walked up in here. Jamaat al-Tabligh came stop through here. I said, excuse me? Happened here in this masjid about a week ago. Mir was in here. I was here. I said, excuse me. I called you over. Excuse me. Excuse me. Are you Jamaat al-Tabligh? And they came with their little nice, soft behavior. Nah, brother, how you doing? How's everything? Is everything good? Yes, brother. Yes, we're here. We just want to sit and talk. I said, listen, are you Jamaat al-Tabligh or not? I just want to know. Yes. That's Jamaat al-Tabligh. I said, listen, Jamaat al-Tabligh is not welcome here. You're not welcome here. Your call is not welcome here. You're not welcome here in this masjid. This is a Salafi masjid. This is a Salafi masjid. I said, now, if you want to sit and talk so I can tell you what you're upon of falsehood, you're welcome. You ready for a class? I don't want to listen to what you have to say, though. But you have to listen to what I have to say. Why? Because you're in my masjid. So we never heard of this, of Jamaat al-Tabligh being warned against. I said, Sheikh Ibn Baz warned against them. You could check the ulama. I want you to bring it to you. I have it on my phone right now. You want to listen to it? He said they're from the deviated sects of these days and times. But you can't tell Ali Davis and them that. They'll say, oh, they're not al-Bid'ah. Then where are they then? Salafi? Because there is no in-between. It doesn't exist. There is no Dawah al-Mu'tazila. He's in a state between two states. That's other nonsense. Anyway, getting back to what we were discussing. If you go back to the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Mujadala, which is ayah number 22, that's where we stopped at. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, book, لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون الله أكبر. That's everything I've been talking about is just an ayah. ولا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم. Oh, I forgot to tell them. This is just to make everyone laugh, right? This is on a side note. One of the people who's Jamaat al-Tabligh, when they came in, one of their fathers' eyes lit up wide when he seen me, and he walked off. As if he was like, man, as if he told them in the car, listen, you guys are going to a Salafi masjid. Do you know what's going to you realize what you're getting yourself into? No, we're just going there, we have to give the dawah to the brothers. So when he seen me, he fled. He ran out the masjid. The other people just stayed in the circle. But one of his eyes lit and fled. He ran out the door. So I came up to him, and I just said to them kindly, you guys are Jamaat al-Tabligh? He said, brother, you have to realize, yes, hi. One of them tried to, you have nice muscles. Hey, brother, to the end is right. So I said, listen, are you have Jamaat al-Tabligh or not? Yeah, he started feeling on my arm and all this. He said, hey, you're quite strong there. With all this other nonsense, right? So I said, listen, are you Jamaat al-Tabligh or not? Yes. I said, your dawah is not welcomed here. We don't welcome Jamaat al-Tabligh here. Jamaat al-Tabligh is not welcomed here. Your call, you know why? You know my thought process and my mind, brothers and sisters? That call is going to humiliate us. that cause messing up the hoods in the cities and making things worse because it's an innovative practice. That's what's going through my mind. I don't want my community polluted with that nonsense. It's not going to do nothing for our people. And when I say our people, I mean the Muslims, the people in general. I don't care what color and ethnicity you're from. No, white, black, it doesn't matter who it is. طيب. Anyway, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says in the book, Surah Al-Mujadala, لا تجد قومين يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم أولئك كتب في قلوبهم الإيمان وأيدهم بروح منه ويدخلهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها رضي الله عنه ورضوا عنه أولئك حزب الله ألا إن حزب الله هم المفلحون. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Mujadala that he mentions, he says, you will never find a people that believe in Allah in the last day, that they loving those who oppose Allah or making war in opposition to Allah and His Messenger. Even if they were their fathers or their children or their brothers or even their tribe. Or even if their relatives or their tribe or what have you. He said they are the ones who Allah has written in their hearts Iman. And He has aided them with biruhin min. He said with the spirit from it. And we'll explain that inshallah. He says, and we'll enter them in the gardens in which rivers are flowing from rivers that are flowing from underneath, abiding therein forever. To the end of the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says, Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. This and they are the party of Allah. Verily the party of Allah, they will be prosperous and victorious. فَيَا مَعَشَ الْإِخْوَةِ, this is another principle that the great Imam put in this tremendous book of Usul al-Thalatha. So always keep it in mind when we go through this book, this is the book of the grave of preparation for death. And this is the greatest part of preparation is purifying your belief system, your aqeedah. We've been talking about wala al-bara, and this is a part of it. And it does have a lot of details in this ayah. And this ayah is tremendous. You'll find that the reason for why this ayah was revealed is in regards to a lot of affairs. For firstly, if we'll talk about a little of why the ayah was revealed, partly what happened with Abu Bakr, and likewise the great Sahabi, tremendous Sahabi, Abu Ubaidah, Amir al-Jarrah, radiyallahu anhu al-Adha, the great Sahabi who was in a battle and to the point where he was even put in a spot where his father was making enmity, opposing Allah and His Messenger. The point of just to sum it up, so I don't have time to get into too much details of it now. What happened with Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah, the great Sahabi, who to the point where even how virtuous he was to the point where even Umar al-Khattab had mentioned and said that if he was alive, لَاسْتَخْلَفْتُهُ, I would have made him a successor, meaning the Khalifa. That was to show you the high tremendous virtue of Abu Ubaidah, radiyallahu anhu al-Adha. Abu Ubaidah Amr al-Jarrah, the great Sahabi, who was from the 10 who was promised paradise. Abu Ubaidah Amr al-Jarrah, radiyallahu anhu al-Adha. But anyway, this ayah where Abu Ubaidah, his father was making war and he was participating in making war against Allah and His Messenger. Until you'll find that he was put in the position where he had to even fight his father in war. He was put face to face in battle with his own father, the own man who he's a part of. That's his father. And you'll find in the story of what happened, if you go back to Siru A'lam al-Nubala, because it gives more details of the story. But just to summarize and make everything concise, that when he was put in that type position where he did not, of course, had a reluctancy and aversion to want to kill his own father. But his father kept what? Pushing it, and making war until he was finally put face to face with his own son. Until when he was put in the corner, until what? Abu Ubaidah Amr al-Jarrah had to kill his own father for Allah and His Messenger, because of those who had made war with him in war, as much as he did not want to kill his own father, until what? Allah Ta'ala sent down this ayat showing the high status and the virtue in his iman. Until this ayat was what? This ayat was actualized and it was carried out. What does it say in the ayat, everyone? You will never find a people who believe in Allah in His last day loving those who make war with Allah and His messenger, or opposing Allah and His messenger, even if they're what? What's the first thing? Even their own fathers. So Abu Ubayd al-Jarrah, that showed his high status of his iman, radiyallahu anhu ardah, who was from the 10 of those who were promised paradise, which shows his high level and his high status, radiyallahu anhu ardah. Also, even what happened with Abu Aziz ibn Umayr ibn Hashim, after what happened in the Waqa'at Badr, after the Battle of Badr. Abu Aziz, his brother who was the great Sahabi, Mus'ab ibn Umayr. Mus'ab ibn Umayr. It says, وَكَانَ أَخِي لِأُمِّي وَأَبِي رجل من الأنصار يأسرني فقال شد بيديك شد يديك به فإن أمه ذات متاع لعلها تفديه منك. قال أبو عزيز فقلت له يا أخي هذه وصاتك بي؟ فقال مصعب إنه أخي دونك. الله أكبر. Likewise, similar to what the situation that happened with Abu Ubaidah was the story what happened with Abu Aziz ibn Umayr ibn Hashim, which took place in the Battle of Badr with his own brother, his own blood brother. So there was Mus'ab ibn Umayr, then you had Abu Aziz ibn Umayr. So his brother was Mus'ab, the great Sahabi, and his brother was Abu Aziz. And a man from the Ansar had took him captive, meaning during the time of war, after the Battle of Badr. For verily he heard that one of them had said, if the narration I recall it correctly, he says that even Mus'ab even said, he said, make sure that he's been tied up firmly, meaning as a captive, while he was in war, right? He said, فَإِنَّ أُمَّهُ ذَاتُ مَتَاعٍ لَعِلَّهَا تَفْدِيهِ مِنْكَ. So verily, he said, his mother, he says, is a woman that possesses mata', meaning that she possesses those commodities that could be utilized in order to use him or to give it in ransom for him, meaning for Abu Aziz because he was a captive. فَقُلْتُ لَهُ يَا أَخِي هَذِهِ وَصَاتُكَ بِي. So he said, called out to his own brother, Mus'ab. He said, this is basically how you leaving me like this? I'm your brother, blood brother. He says, are you going to listen to this person, this other person, who's what? Who's a Sahabi. So Mus'ab said, verily he's my brother besides you. He's my brother besides you. Who's he talking about? He's saying it's Sahabi. He said, he's my brother besides you. So you know that which is in faith, in your methodology, that person is close to you than your own blood, especially they're upon the correct methodology, a correct belief system, to show the closeness of how Iman is more of a higher level than just mere blood. Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? So these are from the explanation of what we've been speaking about this ayah. In regards to what Allah Ta'ala mentions in his book in Surah Al-Mujadala, Allah Ta'ala says you will never find those who are what? Those who believe, of course. It's at the end of the ayah where it says that they're beloved or taken as close loved ones. Those who make war with Allah and His Messenger, oppose Allah and His Messenger. So all this is what, everyone, connected with the qa'idah of wala wal bara, which we've been discussing. And like we talked about, keep in mind as we discuss this matter that it's not just connected with the people of Iman and Kufr. It's also connected with the people of Bid'ah and the people of Sunnah. Keep that in mind as we discuss this, because a lot of people forget that aspect. Because that is, like we said, the new wave that is being attacked. That particular restriction, that's being attacked here. You'll find that is the new wave that's coming. They want to erase that. There is no wala bara between the people, the sunnah, and the people bid'ah. That don't exist. Here in America, that don't exist. They want to do away with that. A type of opposition of Allah and His Messenger, of course, which we'll talk about and discuss, is those who are upon a deviant methodology. Those who are upon bid'ah, or those who are upon some type of deviation in their belief system. That's a type of opposition which can come as a result of it with wala wal bara. How, everyone? What's the dalil? The dalil for that is how you'll find, starting with what happened with Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu during Hajj. During the time of what took place, Abdurrahman al-Himyari, of what happened with the Qadr when they first started, or when a deviation of Qadr when it first started. The deviation in the aspect of creed, and from our creed is what is the belief in the divine decree of Allah. So the first deviation that has started in Islam, they would say that was pertaining to the affair connected with the destination and the divine decree of Allah, which is a Sahih Muslim. It's in there. The point of why I'm mentioning this, just to sum it up, that Abdullah ibn Umar said, tell them that basically the people of deviation have mentioned and said that the affair of Allah's will, Allah Ta'ala's will over the creation, of course, there is no will. Allah has no will over the creation. And that type of deviation is that saying that Allah had no knowledge, of course, of what takes place until it actually happens. And that the affair is unuf, meaning that it's mustatnaf min jadid, meaning that the affair is actually new because it actually happened, not because Allah knew it was going to happen. Or rather, it's mustatnaf, that it resumed or started as a new when it took place, when it happened. So Abdullah ibn Umar, when he heard this type of speech, he said, if this is there, this is what they believe. He said, this happened, this actually took place. Of course, we know what happened with Ma'bad al-Juhani and Ma'bad al-Juhani. At any rate, that was the people. Let me go to the side. He said, and what he said, did they say that? He said, yeah, they said that. He said, tell them I'm free from them and they're free from me. I'm free from them and they are free from me. So notice Abdullah ibn Umar separated themselves from them. Why? Because of some deviation in their belief system. And they said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, those who are upon deviation. So those who are upon deviation said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And despite of that, Abdullah ibn Umar freed himself from them. Also Abdullah ibn Abbas, of all the different athar pertaining to Abdullah ibn Abbas, likewise freed himself from them, and even to the point where he even mentioned that said if I was to see one of them, of course he would try to even reprimand them and try to strike one of them due to this type of deviation. Now, I'll bring the other once I get my book. But anyway, all is this to show that there was wala wal bara with the people of innovation. So another argument they'll try to bring, he said, well, that's just for them. That's not for now. I will say that that's even in coming upon what's taking place in our communities right now too. Also likewise you'll find deviation in the people's creed and their belief system. For example, if you was to go to 45th Street or to an Ahbash Masjid, I have a whole book. I have 2 volumes of a refutation against the Ahbash. They have over about maybe 50 problems in their Aqidah. More, if not more. 50. Of all types of deviation and all types of warped beliefs and ideologies of grave worshiping, making dua to other than Allah, making dua to the dead, you name it. calling on the dead. People always want to use, and a lot of people, when they come to me, they say, for 45th Street, they pray to another Qibla. That's the least of their problems. People always come to that, and I say, that's the least of their problems. Oh, they listen to music. That's the least of their problems. You know why they listen to music? Because the reason, when a person is deviated in their fundamentals, that everything else of catastrophes was going to fall into place. What do I mean by that? When your belief system is corrupt, then everything that branches off of it is going to be corrupt. So now, of course, you're going to find that they celebrate the Prophet's birthday, and then when they celebrate the birthday, you find them committing shirk and polytheism, calling on the Prophet, asking for forgiveness from the Prophet, or he's here, he's present along with us. And then you'll find them listening to music. And then you find on Facebook, as certain people have informed me and showed me, of women rappers and women Muslim videos and men videos and music videos. And I keep telling people that's the worst of their problems. That's the least of their problems. You have to find out, why are they doing that? Go back to the fundamentals. They're fundamentally corrupted. They're fundamentally in their belief system corrupted. If I was to show you the book that I have on the Ahbash and their belief system of how many deviation they have of denial of Allah's attributes and alterations of Allah's attributes, and Allah Ta'ala not being above the heavens, and Allah rejecting that Allah is not even above, and justifying that all aspects of worship can be for other than Allah. How are they not Ahlul Bid'ah? How are they not? And I have the two books, each refutation of the books of the Ahbash, each volume is this thick, that I have compiled of all the deviation that they have in their belief system. So what we're trying to say is, brothers and sisters, that this type of belief are all fall into the eye if you look in your book. There are types of opposition to Allah and His Messenger. Their opposition and making war with Allah and His Messenger. And the worst type of war you can make, I want everyone to listen to me when I say this. The worst type of war you can make with Allah and His Messenger is not just trying to kill the people of Tawheed or kill the people of the Sunnah or wreak havoc or mass hysteria in society, even though that's terrible. That's something that's tremendous. The worst type of war is when you're trying to corrupt the correct belief system of the people. When you're corrupting the belief system, that is the worst type of war that any human being can make. That's worse than physical harm. Why? Why is it worse than physical harm? Because if a person receives physical harm and his aqeedah is intact and he dies upon that, where will they be, everyone? They'll be in paradise. But if you die and you have some type of deviation or corruption in your belief system, and you die in the state of polytheism or kufr and shirk, where are you going to go? You're going to be in hell forever. So what type of corruption is worse? So these are the things that we are trying to teach the people, that these are the things that are the most are the most detrimental, and at the same time they're the most dangerous, and they're the worst forms of opposition. That's the reason why we say, based upon this ayah, that Ahlul Sunnah likewise has wala wal bara for the people of deviation. They have wala wal bara for the people of deviation. And also likewise, for example, you find that people, you come and you find that they are saying, for example, that Allah and His Messenger say such and such. Allah and His Messenger says such and such in the authentic narrations and the proofs, and this is the Sahaba to the end of it. And they say, and they come to combat with that, and they say, listen, I know what Allah and His Messenger says, but you have to realize that music is part of our culture. Music is part of our heritage. You have to realize this. I know what Allah and His Messenger say, for number one, but you have to realize this is part of the African American culture. You have to realize that statement is a type of deviation. It's a deviation to let one know that he has some problems and discrepancy in their fundamentals. Why? Because they're not giving precedence to what Allah and His Messenger said over what? over their culture or their so-called what? Their culture or their heritage or what have you had told, or what they were brought up upon, what they were nurtured upon, had taught them. But once now a person starts with these type of fundamentals, you realize that's a discrepancy in belief system. Because you have to go beyond. When people make statements like that, you have to go beyond why they're saying that. You can't get mad. Because you got to realize that more than likely, they haven't been cultivated properly. Especially you have new callers that's coming from Medina, waving the banner that I've been in there for 20 years and still teaching them improperly. Still teaching them improperly. At the same time, not educating them to realize that's a problem. That's a problem in your religion as far as fundamentally, and your genetics as a Muslim, to make a statement like that. Because now it goes back to some type of discrepancy in fundamentals, to what makes you a Muslim. Because once you hear that Allah and His Messenger said, we would learn in Usul al-Thalatha, what do we learn, everyone? As soon as we hear what Allah's Messenger said, and what the Sahaba mentioned, and what was their position and how they understood it, khalas, sami'na wa ta'na. It's not for us now to say, yeah, I know that, but we live in 2018, modern day society, calls for us to compromise a little bit, water it down a little bit. Then they'll try to come now with another type of ambiguity by saying, do you ride a camel these days? And they'll laugh behind it. Not realizing that also is a problem, and it's also ignorance on top of deviation. First of all, there's a difference between, you'll find, what the Prophet ﷺ commanded and things that are just connected with certain clothes or what is pertaining to certain types of wear in a particular land and area where it's not obligatory to practice. As far as, for example, a turban or what have you, or things of that nature, all those different types of things it's not obliged for us to do based upon. It's a different types of different types of wear as far as pertaining to cultures and societies, as long as the culture or some type of custom does not oppose Kitab and Sunnah. If it opposes Kitab and Sunnah, then you cannot practice it. But if there is, and we'll discuss it once again, Usul al-Fiqh, if there is a practice and it calls to better mannerism, and it might even call you to even being distinguished as a Muslim, then you're supposed to do that. Rather, you'll find, like we said, in certain instances is obligatory, as we'll talk about, inshallah. But as far as now, camels and cars and transportation, of course we know back then that was their only type of transportation. But also, they don't fail to realize there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ talked about the car. A lot of people don't even know that. The hadith is in Imam Ahmad's Musnad. Shaykh al-Albani even brought the benefits of it. The Prophet ﷺ talked about the car and described it thousands of years ago. A lot of people don't know that. They probably say, what? Are you serious? Yes, there's a narration. The Prophet ﷺ talked about the car. Talked about there will be a type of transportation which is called the car. Not in the actual love, not the wording, but describing how it would look, of what the people would ride a different type of transportation. He didn't say the word car. He gave characteristics of what it would look like. And which Shaykh al-Albani brought the actual benefits from it, extracted it from it. He said, look to this. He says, when I seen this, my faith increased even more. He said the Prophet ﷺ actually talked about the characteristics of transportation of what we're riding today, which is the car, based upon that narration. But at any rate, in regards to what we mentioned about opposition, so those opposition as far as in creed are the worst forms of opposition, which necessitates, brothers and sisters, everything which is of wala wal bara. When a person has that type of deviation, you have to be very careful. If those people, like we said, are ignorant, of course, then we deal with them differently. But however, us as human beings, we always have to be careful, because the human being is weak and he could be easily affected based upon who he takes as a friend, or who he constantly hangs around, or who he constantly takes as a person who he spends a lot of his time with. Eventually, they're going to affect you and you're going to affect them. It's like a give and take. So a person always watches who he's around to know that he's going to get some type of good influence on himself. And that is very important and key to who you're constantly around. And that's the reason why you'll find the people who are constantly around, those type of people who are into black nationalism, they start speaking like them. And they start acting like them. And they start agreeing with their ways. Why? Because you're constantly around them. When you're constantly around a person that holds those notions, and those beliefs, then eventually you start adopting it some type of way, some type of influence. That's the dangers of what? Being around those type of people. And that's the reason why when we, even though we're in opposition with them, when we don't show our wala, our loyalty to them, but however, at the same time, we still do not now go to the opposite extreme where we start being their friends and protectors and being around them constantly. It's a difference between da'wah and it's a difference between musahaba, as we'll talk about. It's a difference between calling somebody to what is correct and taking them as close friends and people who you constantly hang around and take your money from. As we'll discuss, inshallah. So I'll notice that when he said your forefathers, even if they was your fathers, and even if they were your brothers or your tribe or your relatives or what have you, you will find that Allah Ta'ala mentions this in his book to show how much of a connection that a person will have. In the ayah in Surah Al-Mujadala, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, Allah Ta'ala started with what a person more than likely will have the strongest connection with. Of course, if he's your true father, your blood father who raised you properly, but of one who will be, your heart will be more than likely connected with and who you would ascribe to. Because we know that properly, if we were in a society that was practicing everything correctly, you will be ascribed to your father. You'll be Muhammad ibn so-and-so. You'll be ascribed to your father, and that would be your connection. Due to their virtue over you, and also due to their tremendous right that they have over their sons. So Allah Ta'ala started with what? The fathers first. Due to the obligation of their reverence and their veneration and all these other different types of praise and respect that you show to them. And he prohibited them from, even despite of this strong connection, if the affair of opposition kicks in, then what? Then Allah Ta'ala commanded that what? That one did not take them as loving them or showing their closeness to them if this is their case, if this is their case, where they're making war and they're making opposition to Allah and His Messenger. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayat also mentioned what? Your children. And we know that our children are very connected to us, and very dear to us, and very beloved to us. So we know that it's part of that fitna that Allah Ta'ala speaks about in His book. He said, verily your wealthy, your children are a fitna for you, so be on guard and be cautious. To the point where we know that in authentic narrations that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said, when it happened with Al-Hasan al-Hussein, when they came and they ran to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ had hugged them and brought them close, and he said, Al-waladu makhbalatun majbana. Makhbalatun majbana. So it comes in Imam Ahmad as Musnad, that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said, to let us know how our children could be a fitna for us, to the point where the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that a child is a mabkhalatun majbana. He says that the child, that if one is not careful, of course, and not cautious, it can render one what? It can render him to be stingy. And it can render him from being a coward. It can render him to being a coward. What's the Prophet ﷺ talking about, everyone? What he says is mabkhalatun majbana. The child that he's a fitna that can cause one to be stingy and cause one to be a coward. What is he talking about? The Prophet ﷺ was talking about mabkhala, meaning that in certain times where it's time for you to spend, of course for people who are truly love their children and care and give precedence to loving their children, usually it will cause sometimes to be what? Tight. Where if it was time to call, came to which it will be time to be spending on Allah's religion, or spending in the cause of Allah, or spending in certain affairs, or even spending as far as zakat, or what have you. It would cause a person to think, what? I have to be more tight-fisted. I have to be more of a penny pincher, or what have you, or be a little bit more frugal. Why? Because I have these, don't you see all these kids I have? I'm going to be a little bit more tight. It could cause, so now when a call of Allah, where you want to spend, now starts, that will cause a person more than likely as a fitna, and a test and a trial for them, that they will what? To be stingy. In certain instances where it's time for them to spend. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, mabkhalatun. Then it says majbana. He said they also can render, if a person is not cautious, it can render them to be a coward. What did he mean by that? Meaning that when it's time to now, also likewise, to stand for the truth, or to stand for something firm, or to stand for something in regards to being called out if there was a war or what have you, or your loved ones. The first thing the shaitan will whisper to you and say is what? You're going to die, you're going to leave your children, you're going to leave your wife, you're going to leave your family. So now that will cause some type of what? Aversion for you to go out and to do what is correct. So it'll make you a coward. So that's the reason why he mentioned it, said it'll be much better. And also likewise, and we know in these days and times, a lot of people who are that are compromising the correct, upright methodology, it's the same thing. Well, you'll find that they're thinking in their mind, I need to spend on my wife and family, I need this money. So now you're not going to stand for the truth. You're going to be a coward, you're going to water it down because you have all these children and I need this money. So you're a coward. So that's the reason why he said they are fitna, and Allah Ta'ala mentions that in his book, how they are fitna. But notice Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mentioned them after their fathers. Why? Because children, and of course, and usually in most cases, is those who are very dear and close to you. To the point where how one's test for Iman will come in this form in certain instances. And you'll find this methodology practiced amongst the Salaf. Where you'll find that in certain instances where the Salaf from them was Ali ibn al-Madini, the great Imam. Ali ibn al-Madini, great scholar of hadith, from those who are from the Ahmad ibn Hanbals and the Yahya Ma'ins. And from them who was also Ali ibn al-Madini, rahimahullah, from the great A'imma of this religion. And also Yahya Ma'in. The stories of what happened with them and their own fathers, and they were their sons. And you'll find from the Salaf who said what happened with, I think it was Ali ibn al-Madini, that he said, don't take hadith from my son, he's a liar. Well, he declared him in the grade of isnad and hadith to be weak, even though that was his own son. Why? Because the Salaf were looking at this ayah, that it's incumbent upon them to what? Always stand for the truth, even if it's their own what? Their own family, even if they own close, they're closest to them and the most dear to them. However, that love does not what? Affect your love for your Iman and your love for Allah and His Messenger, where it would affect that, to the point where they had to still stand for the truth, even if it was against their own children, where they had to still stand for the truth, that this person is a liar. And that is a test for anyone, for all of us. And that's where the true test comes in, on the test where it manifests the reality of an individual, is when these type of affairs happen and these events occur. And that's the reason why what happened with Abu Ubaid al-Jarrah happened. Also, likewise, people think it happened to Abu Ubaid al-Jarrah. It also happened to Abu Bakr. He also had to kill a son of his. People don't know that. Nah, I'll talk about he had to fight his own, he had to fight him. He had to fight Abdurrahman. As it comes, I'll bring it what Ibn Kathir mentions. He had to fight his own son in a battle. And what happened with Umar al-Khattab, he had to fight his own relative, or someone who was in his family, in a battle, in a war. He had to fight his own relative. And these are, and what came as an exchange when these type of tests occurred, everyone? What did Allah give him? Look at to the end of the ayah. Look at it. When these tests came that were severe, and they still gave their precedence to Allah and His Messenger, what happened? Allah gave him a better exchange. What did Allah give him? What did it say in the end of the ayah? No. Before that, they are pleased with it. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him. And Allah entered them in what? You understand, everyone? Is it clear? So that's the reason why these affairs are mentioned in this ayah. Allah Ta'ala started people with those who are the most dearest to us in our families, to let us know how these tests can come. And these tests come, it truly shows where your Iman is, and whether or not you are ready for this type of test that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala tested the greatest of creation after the prophets and messengers, who are the Sahaba. Tested them in these matters to the point where Allah Ta'ala gave them success. And Allah Ta'ala gave them tawfiq, until their da'wah has still have their effect upon the people to this day, to the point where we're studying these athar in the masajid here in America in 2018, to let you know how their da'wah still has barakah and bless due to their sacrifices that they made for Allah and His Messenger. طيب, if you notice in the ayah, it says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written in their hearts. Oh, we gotta stop. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written in their hearts Iman. He has written in their hearts, meaning He's written in their hearts Iman. Everyone sees it? Does everyone see it? Sisters, you see it? Are they drinking coffee and eating? If they see it, we're in the eye. Do they see it? He says they are ones who've written in their hearts faith. What is the meaning of the written in their hearts faith? The meaning of the ayah is this, everyone. It means that Allah Ta'ala has made it firm. And He has planted it and well grounded, deep rooted. Faith to the point where it does not what? It does not become loose, or it doesn't come shooken. To the point where ambiguities or doubtful matters will affect it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala particularized the hearts here in this ayah with mentioning it, with mentioning the heart. Why, everyone? Because the heart is the place of Iman. Because that is the morsel of flesh that can become blind. And it can become also likewise blind, and it can become in a state where it can see likewise. A lot of people think that it's just the eyes. But it's not. The heart can become blind. And it can also see. And it also can understand. That deep type of understanding and insight is of the heart, as we know. As Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hajj, Surah Al-Hajj, ayat number 64. Allah Ta'ala says, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبَ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. Allah Ta'ala says in His book, He said, verily the eyesights did not become blind. However, the hearts, which is in the chest, became blind. Meaning the sight of guidance and insightfulness and being guided correctly. That became blind. As is a case with a lot of people these days, may Allah protect us. طيب. In regards to now the last part of the ayah, inshallah, I think we'll suffice with that. We'll suffice because there is a little bit more details and we'll give, inshallah, next week. We'll read the next qa'idah, the next principle in Usul al-Thalatha, everyone. It says, اعلم أرشدك الله لطاعته أن الحنيفية ملة إبراهيم. اعلم أرشدك الله لطاعته أن الحنيفية ملة إبراهيم. ملة إبراهيم. He says, have knowledge, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you rushd, may He give you guidance. May He guide you to His obedience. That the Hanifiyah is the way of Ibrahim. And that's where we'll continue and we'll resume next week, inshallah. I feel very, like I said, inshallah, I feel very, very sorry for subhanallah al-azim. I think that these new callers that come into these cities are punishment for us due to our actions and our sins. So Allah Ta'ala sends these people to our societies in order to what? Test the people because of their sins and disobedience. So He sends these type of smile face, soft type of da'wah, but behind it is a very evil intent and ulterior motive, and people are being deceived by these type of callers because of, like we said, because of lack of knowledge, of course, and also due to probably the desires in the people of their sins, which Allah Ta'ala, as a result of it, sends these type of people for a test for them. It's just sad, like He said, just to see how the people are being deceived. What's incumbent upon us is just to remain firm in these trying times and to educate yourselves, brothers and sisters, and not following trends of what you see on social media. There's a lot of people now, they just follow the wave because they see a certain people, a certain number. But if a lot of those people really investigated and really read the proper refutations with the knowledge, as I have all the encyclopedia of Sheikh Rabi''s refutations against all people who he refuted, it was not a big number. A lot of people think there's a lot. It's not a big number in comparison to some of the ulama of the past. They want to criticize Sheikh Rabi'. That means y'all guys should be criticizing Yahya Ma'in, Ahmed ibn Hanbal, because they criticize a lot more narrators and a lot more people in comparison to Sheikh Rabi'. But now, due to the fact that now they criticize people who your desires are catering towards, there's a problem. Y'all make taqleed, as they say. But if you actually read his refutation, if you actually read it, brothers and sisters, read the actual refutations, read it, and took time out to read it, even though some of them not translated, maybe one day if I had time, I would translate a couple of refutations of Sheikh Rabi'. You would realize and say, this man Allah has given him insight. That everything he's brought was correct criticism of who he criticized and opposed Kitab and Sunnah. It's simple, it's clear. Bring evidences and proofs, no arguments, no insults as they want to so-called is utilized against us. Everything was Kitab, Sunnah, and how this person totally opposed it. Minhaj al-Salaf, totally opposed it. You'll find it in his refutations that are scholastic based and have nothing but proofs and evidences in it. And like I said, and just like our brother Abu Hassan Malik, and I think that kind of ruffled their feathers, that lecture he gave about 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, in Germantown, I think that ruffled their feathers a lot. That he mentioned and said, he said a person now that specializes in this field, he's been in this field, for example, just like a person who knows something as a falsified type of gold, or it's false gold, or it's false silver, and this has been what he does, been doing this 50 or 60 years. And if you bring it to him, he's able to say, this is fake. Like, this has been my specialty for years. This has been my specialty for my field for years. This is what I do. As soon as you bring it to them, they're able to look at it. They're able to they're able to investigate and scrutinize it to the point where they can come to this conclusion that this is false. This is false. Yeah, actually, but you didn't really read the specification. I read the specifications. I studied this thing for about a day. Matter of fact, I studied this probably for 5-8 years, this particular person. Just like I studied this gold here that you gave me for like a week straight. This is in my line of work. This is what I do. This is a false gold. I can tell. It's easy. This is something I can just know because I've been doing it for 50, 60 years. This is what I do. So now in the fields of Sheikh Rabi', likewise, what the ulama have mentioned, similar to that. Sheikh Rabi' does not criticize anyone, know for sure, brothers and sisters, unless this stuff been going on for years. He doesn't speak against someone as soon as someone brings a piece of paper, khalas. Everyone knows that Sheikh Rabi' doesn't criticize someone unless he's been having fitna for years. Years. Been doing some certain things that shouldn't been done. Advice for years. To the point where even certain people, other people on the other side of the fence will say, why did you wait so long? So you can never win. They always criticize on one side of the extreme than another. You have one people say, oh man, why he's always criticizing people? You make it taqleed. You got them people. Then on the opposite side of the stream, man, what you wait so long for? So which one is it with you people? So you can't win with each side with you people. If you criticize him with evidences and proofs, y'all say y'all make it taqleed. Then when he's patient with somebody for years and years at a time, then you come and say, oh man, why he takes so long? Can the man win? You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So know for sure that this man who knows, those who know Sheikh Rabi' we know Sheikh Rabi' back from the 90s, from the fitna back then. That's the people who are getting rocked and shifted is the people that just started coming around now, usually. The people that's just on social media, they real hype, they new shahadas, and they think they know everything, and, oh, yeah, Sheikh Rabi', yeah, I know Sheikh Rabi', but no, you don't know Sheikh Rabi'. You don't know how we knew when the wars and the fitna were going on during the 80s and the 90s. You weren't there. Those who were there, who've been through that fitna and seen how that man held it down for a lot of people who was taking the wrong opinions at that time, and how Allah raised his status by those different trials of fitna, knows what that man had did. That's the reason why when this fitna came, the recent fitna now of what's taking place, the people who were back then know why Sheikh Rabi' criticized and know why he's on point. Because we knew that the same way that he takes with advising a person back then, he didn't change it. If he's speaking out against somebody, know for sure that this has been going on for years. He's been having a lot of tolerance and patience, to the point where a lot of people probably got fed up 5 years ago, and he's being 5 years more patient. Behind closed doors, Sheikh Rabi', you don't see this fitna that's causing, you don't see. Be patient. Be patient. So now when his patience has ran out, now everybody, oh man, he's always criticizing, y'all making taqleed. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So like I said, don't be fooled by the ambiguities. Don't be fooled by the calls. Don't be fooled by any of this. And don't be fooled by those who try to now, like we said, follow the trends of social media. Investigate, read the refutations if there is. And the best person I could say could translate, I've translated everything. Read, brothers and sisters. Read what Abu Iyad Amjad Rafiq translated. His refutations and what he translated from the ulama, especially some of the refutations of Sheikh Rabi', because I can't believe he translated some of it. He is translated. That man's like a computer. Read what Amjad Rafiq. Go on your social media, go on your phone, type in Amjad Abu Iyad. Go on it, read it. He's on point. He comes with scholastic, detailed, knowledge-based criticism. Read it. So you can now enlighten yourself on Minhaj al-Salafi. Read it and take time out to read. Don't follow trends. Trends is going to get you in a, I don't know how you can put that in a form, but trend will get you in a what do you say? Trends can get you in a what? I don't know. How you want to say that? I mean, you could just keep it basic. But trends will get you in a world of trouble and destruction. It send you in a state in a pool of destruction if you're not careful. So don't follow these trends of following what caters to your emotions. Investigate by looking at detailed proofs, evidences. Look at it. That's authentic. That's not fabricated evidences. Authentic evidences and proofs. Read it and educate yourself. All right, everyone? You said Abu Uwais said that? He said Sheikh Rabi' said he's off of it, don't listen to him. That's because Abu Uwais knew Sheikh Rabi's methodology. His methodology is no way of getting around it, because they know he's probably been advising for years. Certain people that I know he's criticized, from them was Abdurrahman Abdul Khaliq from Ihya Turat. He was advising him for 12 years. 12 years. 12. I think I was joking with Amir last week. It's as if it's like the feds. Once the feds got you, they got you. Everybody knows the feds got you. The feds got you. They probably had something on you for like 4 years straight. You want to deny all this? You understand what I'm saying? They'll go for a long time until you cannot even deny it. You better have the best lawyer in the dunya to get you out of the feds, what the feds got you. The point that I'm trying to mention is Sheikh Rabi' is not the feds. We're not saying that. We're saying that he builds this case up that he's been advising for years and years and years, until when it hits and it's time to talk, you can't deny it. It's clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's the methodology I want everyone to cling to. These ulama are the Imam Ahmeds of our days. They're the Yahya Ma'ins of our days. These are ulama. Sheikh Rabi', Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh bin Baz. These are the Yahya Ma'ins of our days. These are the Imam Muslims of our days. These are the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbals, the Imam al-Bukharis. We're not saying that at the same level. What they're saying, this is what Allah has given us of these days. To know what is of what we're having of. Those are the people of truth are clinging to it, who are our fathers, was allowing where, as a result of it, for us to be rightly guided by their knowledge, because they're propagating the correct understanding, the correct knowledge. So now when we say, like we said, Ya ma'ashar al-ikhwa, for those who make war, to be very careful. Because like we said, those who make war with these ai you see that Allah has disgraced them. So we have to be careful. Any questions about the lesson? So I can start, because we got to start the next class in a couple of minutes. I'm going to take a 10-minute break and I'm going to start the next class. Any questions about the class? Surah Al-Hajj. I think it's 22. Surah Al-Hajj. So verily the eyesight then become blind, but however the heart, the heart which is in the chest in the heart chest of the people became blind. Meaning the eyesight in the heart, meaning of insight, to know what's correct and what's incorrect. So what's misguidance and what's misguidance, huh? Mm-hmm. Exactly. But it's of the heart. The heart. Any questions about the lesson, sisters? What they say? No. طيب هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. You guys can eat some of this, y'all want.